Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome this morning. I hope you guys are having a wonderful morning. My name is Michelle Thompson. If you haven't ever heard me speak before, I'm a spiritual coach. And today we are going to be talking about forgiveness. Yeah, forgiveness. That's a hard one, isn't it? It's kind of hard to forgive when somebody's really like done you wrong. I think that this is a topic that a lot of people has really struggled with. And I think that it's important that we understand how important it is that we exercise forgiveness when we are working on our spiritual path. So, this is going to be our topic for today. So, I'm going to give it a few seconds for people to start coming in and, viewing and talking. And as you are coming in, make sure that you say hi. I definitely would like to know who's in the room. So, as you are viewing, make sure that you announce yourself. You don't really have to say a whole lot, just say hi. So, today we're going to be talking about how forgiveness is so important to your spiritual path. I saw a couple of people log in. Make sure you say hi, everybody, so I know who's visiting and coming in. Okay, so why is it so important? Why do we keep on hearing this from all the gurus, right? They're like, you need to forgive, you need to forgive. And why it's so important that if we're working on our spiritual path, that forgiveness is so important. Well, if you look in the past and you look at like Buddha and Jesus and Muhammad and all these other guru type prophets, one of the key things that they always say is to forgive. But yet, as human beings, we find that very difficult to do. And yet, children, very young children, find it very easy to forgive. They get really upset, and the next thing you know, they're playing and they're friends again. So I think it's really interesting how children so young that haven't been tarnished by life are able to forgive. And look at animals, for example. You can get onto your dog, like my dog disobeyed or behaved badly. So, and then they're turn around and they forgive you very quickly for getting onto them. I have so I have a male dog and I have a female dog. And my male dog is he's a very big boy. Okay. He's a really big boy. He's 100 pounds and he's very scary looking, but he's a big puss. And my female dog is she's like a mountain cur. She's as hot tall as him, but she's got really thin, like long legs and kind of a barrow chest. And what's interesting about the dynamics between the two of them, even though he's stronger, more powerful, and double her weight, he's the more passive one. And so sometimes she'll get jealous or she'll get snippy or she'll get moody, like women do sometimes. And apparently he's in her space and she'll snap at him. And so I'll get on to her. Okay. And what does she do? She goes and sits and pouts for a little while and just keeps on watching me, waiting for me to say it's okay for her to come back over and get affection and love. So it's interesting how children and animals are able to forgive so easily. They just want love. And I think that to the core of our very being, if we really look at who we really are, what is the number one thing that we all seek? We all seek love. But yet we hold love as a hostage. I mean, seriously, don't you? You hold it hostage because you're not deserving of my love. You're not deserving of my love. You're not deserving of my love. And you're just like going through the whole like spectrum of people and you're saying, these people don't deserve my love. Okay. But yet, you want that love so badly. You're seeking it. You're looking for it. You're on the internet searching for it. You're messaging every woman that you become friends with or every male you become friends with and trying to establish some sort of connection. And then when you don't find love, what happens? You don't feel worthy because it doesn't seem to be able to find you. Well, that's the story of my life. So, before we really get into explaining to you a little bit about forgiveness and why it's so important in your spiritual path, because I will get to that, I want you to understand that I understand. And the reason that I understand is because I've been there. I have been that girl seeking love. I've been that girl that felt maybe I'm just not worthy of love. I have been that girl that has put out so much positive energy, so I believed, and thought, why does God or the universe or source or whatever, why is it not giving me love? I'm such a good person. I'm such a loving person. Why is that not available or accessible for me in my life? So, years ago, crazy thing happened. And I promise you, I'm going to get to the forgiveness thing, but there's a moral to the story. So I think it's important that you listen to the story. So years ago, I had some really bizarre thing happen to me where I had a spirit materialize in my room. And when I say materialize, like they looked like a human being to me. I mean, I have a friend, his name is Chris George, and when he describes, how he sees spirit, he actually sees them as physical people, not like ghostly or see through or whatever. He actually sees them physically. Well, this happened to me. I had somebody manifest themselves in my room and start speaking to me. And it was interesting to me because this particular event actually changed my life. So he shows up and he's standing in front of the bathroom door. Okay. And as he's standing in front of the bathroom door, I look at him and I'm like, who are you and why are you here? And he said to me, you can see me? And I said, yeah. And he said, and you're not scared, as he moves his way towards me. And I said, no, no, actually, I'm not scared. And he said, oh, okay. So he moves towards me and he sat down on my bed and he said, well, why aren't you scared? And I said, oh, well, I've got this place on lockdown. I've got crystals over here, this over here, sage this place, da da da. And I'm like telling him all this stuff, and he kind of giggled like he thought it was funny, but I was totally serious. I was like, only good spirits in this space, okay? And and so as I was talking to him, he said, I have a message for you. And he told me that I needed to write a book about love. Well, here I was, the queen of never finding love. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Right. Like, tell me to write about anything, but don't tell me to write about love. I was so upset with him. I started like getting mad at this being sitting in front of me, whoever he was, and like, go find somebody else. I can't do that. I suck at this. You know? And he's like, Michelle, you're about to embark on a journey where you're going to really understand love. And he goes, and love will present itself to you. You're going to be able to understand it so much that you're going to be teaching it. And he said, so all you need to do is just trust and move in that direction, and all the tools will be given to you. Well, I was not a happy camper. I was so unhappy that after he left, I called my mom. I was like, Mom, what do I do here? I was so upset that, the spirit comes to me and tells me, hey, you need to write a book about love. So to me, this was upsetting, because I couldn't even imagine that I was going to write this, because love just seemed to evade me. And I think a lot of that was because I hadn't really learned how to forgive. I was sitting in a space of I would say victimization, where I felt that I was constantly being victimized. And so I was always looking for that victimizer that was next, that was going to find me out of the woodworks, and he was going to present himself as Prince Charming and then turn around and end up being a victimizer. So as I move along through my life, just like the Spirit told me, I ended up learning about love and what love was through my spiritual path. And one of the things that I learned through this um, was that I can become a master of love, and I have. I really have grasped the understanding of what love is in all aspects, not just romantic love, but love of all beings and people and things, and of myself. And I think that that was a key point for me, was to learn how to love myself. So after Mr. Spirit left and I went through my journey of trying to discover what love was, I ended up finding it. And I first found it within myself. And that took me forgiving myself. And that was the hardest challenge I ever had to do, was to forgive myself. And I think that a lot of times what we do is some of us are willing to forgive others, while some of us are not willing at all to forgive ourselves. We have a tendency of, sorry, you guys, I have allergies. It's like every day I have allergies. So we're, we say that we're a forgiving person because we kind of fall into a victimization role a lot of times, where we continue to allow somebody to hurt us. But the bottom line is that we don't forgive ourselves. And so we almost feel as though we're deserving of this kind of treatment on some level, or we can't get any better. And so the first step to your spiritual path is to start with forgiving yourself. I think it's really important that you start to understand how important that is, that everything starts from within and then moves out. Now, as you begin to forgive yourself, and granted, I do realize this is a challenge for most of you, and it was for me. Um, I put people through this a 3 to 6 month journey where we clear everything out, we get rid of the pain from the past. I really take a real strong look at their soul and their spirit, and examine it, from a spiritual perspective, like what's needed to clear all this out. And then we start working on the mind and we start clearing all the junk out. And you know, I've learned how to be able to do this with people in, 3 to 6 months. However, for me, when I was going through this journey, it took me 3 years. And that was with the help of a guru, you know, with the help of somebody else to bring forth that transformation. So it starts with forgiving yourself. Okay. And that's where everything starts. Everything starts from within. Okay. So there's this saying that is, as above, so below. And what that means is that, there's this thing called a microcosm and a macrocosm universe. And the microcosm universe is what we experience tactically. It's what's going on inside of us. Okay. It's our own personal universal world, what's happening in our mind, how we're experiencing the life. So that's a macrocosm. And the microcosm, sorry. And the macrocosm is what's around you. And that means how everybody else is experiencing you and how they're reacting to you. And so when what happens with us is that we see the macrocosm, we see how people are responding to us, and we pay so much attention to what's going on externally around us, that what happens is that everything internally gets neglected. And we have to start with the internal self. You need to start with inside of you. And then when you work on the internal self, then that will impact the macrocosm world around you. And that means that everybody else around you will start to respond differently when you change your internal self. So we want to start with forgiving ourselves. Now, After you forgive yourself, you want to start working on forgiving others. And to forgive somebody else, that is challenging because they've hurt you and they put a lot of pain out there that seems unforgivable, and you're probably thinking, Michelle, you just don't understand. You just don't understand. Easier said than done. Easier said than done. And I'm going to tell you again, like I say in every podcast that I put out there, is I do understand and I do grasp that it's easier said than done. Honestly, when I worked with somebody years ago, I was the hardest case that person had ever had. Honestly, I swear to God, I still text him or call him every so often and say, "Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You changed my life." I don't know how many times I could say that and give him that gratefulness because I knew how hard of a case I was. So there's no way that anybody could be worse than me. I mean, it took me years. When my average client takes 3 to 6 months, okay, that tells you how bad I was. So, yes, I do understand. Yes, I get it. Yes, I really, really get it, you guys. I do. But if you want to experience that spiritual path, that real connection, it all starts from within. Remember, as above, so below. So everything in your outside world, okay, everything around you will not change until you change the inside first. Okay, everything starts here. So how do we get to, so we talked a little bit about forgiving yourself. So how do we get to forgiving others? Whoa, well, he screwed me over, he cheated on me, or, you know, she cheated on me, or she hurt me, or somebody did something. And it's always some tragic thing, a love story. And believe me, I have about 100 of them myself to tell. And so, you know, I recall probably one of the most personal experiences I had that really taught me a really big lesson. And that was when I had to forgive my ex husband. That was probably the most challenging thing I ever did. And, my ex husband is not a bad guy. It's just that I played the role of a victim. And so he kind of got put into the role of victimizer. And he really is a good guy. But to me, um, sometimes from inside, I felt victimized. And so, therefore, anybody in my path that wasn't agreeing with me, following along with me, doing whatever my expectations were, was victimizing me. So, eventually, he learned how to play that role really well. He learned how to be, that person that I was making him out to be. I mean, honestly, I walked around telling him all the time, "You're evil." And so, yeah, he became evil, at least to me, And so, what ended up happening from that and was that I had to come to a point because it was getting so tormenting. I mean, it was just tormenting my soul. I mean, I left the guy, but even after I left him, the torment was horrific. I mean, it was worse after the divorce than it was, you know, being married. And I was living in hell, and honestly, that's what it felt like for me. It's like you couldn't get away from the devil. So, I I needed to forgive him. And I knew that if I confronted him and said, okay, so I'm sorry I wasn't a good enough wife, or I'm sorry, and I'm going to take my personal responsibilities, and I'm going to forgive you for your part, da, 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 da. I knew that that wasn't going to go over very well. I mean, that would be an opportunity for him to use something against me. And so I chose to do it spiritually. So for you guys that can't confront that person, perhaps they've passed away, like it's a father that you never resolved issues with, or perhaps it's a person that if you call them that you're breaking some sort of restraining order issue, or maybe they're in jail, or maybe they've remarried, or maybe you have no way of contacting them. what I suggest is that you do the spiritual exercise that I'm going to teach you how to do. So, what I did was I put myself into a meditative state and I imagined myself in a very peaceful environment. And what I did was, as I imagined myself in this peaceful environment, I imagined him coming to me. And we sat down and we had a conversation. So I imagined his spirit coming to me. And we had a conversation. And we had a conversation about a lot of things. And a lot of things that I felt that I could never say to him personally, I said to him in this spirit type exercise. And so what I did was, in this meditative state, I imagined my ex husband in front of me, and I told him that I was sorry for the things that I felt that where I wronged him, like calling him evil and setting him up as a victimizer. and, and I also told him that I was forgiving him and setting him free. And during this process of this meditated state that I was in, um, I said, "You're free now to move through your life and experience love at any level that you want." And so as I did that, I felt some kind of like pressure come off of me. It was the weirdest thing. It was like, wow, freedom. And in the process of all of that, the following day, it was like I entered into a different dimension or something, you know? How does that happen? Sorry, I got to get a drink. Now, I felt that as if after doing that meditation, that I had almost like created a new timeline, or I had done some sort of magical spell on him. I mean, it was the freakiest thing because from that moment on, he was actually nice to me. It was bizarre. And still to this day, he has never said a mean thing to me ever again. And honestly, I'm telling you, it was like freaking knives being thrown at me all the time before I did this exercise. So, a lot of times, what I tell people is, forgiveness doesn't necessarily mean that you're saying it's okay for the behavior. The forgiveness is more for you so that you can let go of it and not hold on to that pain, not hold on to that hatred. Okay. And by you letting go, just remember, it always starts with the microcosm world and it goes into the macrocosm world. So it all starts from within. So if you feel forgiveness within yourself, then the macrocosm world around you, all the things around you start to fall into place. So what does that look like? Well, I did this little meditation where I pulled his spirit in and told him that I forgive him and apologized as well for my part in this problem. And suddenly, in the macrocosm world, what ended up happening was he acted with as if that really happened. I mean, I never had a conversation with the man, but suddenly, miraculously, miracle happened and he just started to act like a nice guy. Weird, right? I don't know, you know? Mm. So a lot of times when I start talking, my throat gets kind of itchy. So I have to have something like a tea or something I can coat it to kind of help. Anyways, kind of going back. So to me, it felt like it was magical. It felt like I had done some sort of spell of some sort. But everything that you do internally actually shows up externally. So, as you are doing these exercises, I want you to let me look real quick. Oh, dang, I'm late. We'll be watching replay. Yeah, absolutely. You should because you missed a lot, sweetie. Um, I guess it's a bad timing. I decided to do it at 11 o'clock, and I've had a few people pop in, but I'm expecting people just to watch the replay and, do it that way because usually, like when I do it first thing in the morning, I find that I get a lot more people but I was running late this morning and I did have a cancellation with one of my clients. So I had some time, and it's a subject I really wanted to conquer. So yes, please watch the replay and tell me what you think. And if you don't mind, share it as well, because this is a real important topic. So thank you so much, Rhonda. Um, I actually think you would actually get something from this. So, okay, so the whole thing is, I'm going to kind of sum this up and then you can watch the replay. To sum this up, why is this so important to your spiritual path? Because it has to do with the I keep on stumbling on these words, because it has to do with the microcosm world versus the macrocosm world around you. As above, so below. What that means is that the only way that you can get your external world the way that you want it to be is when the internal world is intact. So for you, your magic comes from the internal self. So your spiritual path always starts with the internal self. It's all your feelings, all your thoughts. So when you get a hold of those things, and it is a step by step process, and granted, when you replay this, you're going to see, because I tell some stories a little bit about my past. I am a prime person that knows this very well. I can transform my clients in 3 to 6 months. Me, I was a 3 to 5 year project, man. I was really messed up. and and so if I can get to this place where I feel love, internal peace, then you can. Every single one of you guys can, because I know I was the hardest case, because I played the role of a victim for a really long time. And I'm telling you guys that everything starts from within. And that's the hardest place to start. We always want to start from without, right? We want to start with our friends and our family and everything else. But I'm telling you, the only way that that external world, the macrocosm world, is ever going to change is when you change internally. So it starts with forgiving yourself, okay? And then after you've done the shadow work within yourself, then at that point, that's when you can start working on forgiving others. Um, I will tell you that I had a family member of mine that I was super close to. I mean, really, really close to. And I loved this person probably more than I've ever loved anybody in my life. And this particular person, I'm not going to say male or female, because I'm going to try to avoid that, um, did a series of things that really hurt me. And I took it really personally, because I, I truly loved this person so much. And I felt that I had forgiven this person. Okay. But every so often, I would make a little snarly remark like, "Oh, well, and I really believed inside of myself that I had forgiven him. And and it was interesting, because I was meditating one day, and as I was meditating, I'm like, okay, what else do I need to do? Like, what do I really need to work on? And is there anything else inside, maybe subconsciously, that I'm not aware of, that I'm not really seeing? And yeah, well, Spirit decided to tell me that I needed to forgive this. And I got really mad. I mean, it was like an auto response behavior, like, oh, well, you don't understand, blah, blah, blah. This happened to me, and this happened to me, and this happened to me. And basically, I was told, for me to spiritually evolve to the next level, that I needed to forgive. And it was really hard. Like, it was really, really hard. And I'll tell you that I said I forgave, and I kind of said, like, okay, I forgive, I forgive, I forgive. Okay, I'm not holding, and I would, like, I'm not holding anger. I'm not gonna get angry. I'm okay. La la la. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. But And I even convinced myself that I've forgiven this person. And this is recent, you guys, okay? Really recent. So I'm kind of getting raw with you. I had convinced myself so much that I had forgiven this person that I truly believed it, but I hadn't, okay? And what ended up happening is when my father died or in the process of dying, um, there was some conversations that came up. And this person was truly there for me and for everyone else and really stood up and played a really important role that was undeniably powerful. Oh wow, I'm getting emotional here. um and I told this person how much that I miss this person. I'm trying to avoid saying male or female. If you see, sorry, I'm getting emotional, start crying because it was really, really, I did not realize that I was still holding a grudge. And I had suppressed it so much. And you'll hear me say a lot of times, I'm queen of suppression. Um, and I, I didn't realize it until I started really feeling that love again. And I told him, I said, look, here, I don't want to even look at the past anymore. I just want to let it go. I just want to love you again because I miss you. I miss you being in my life on all levels because you gave me so much. And sorry about the crying. I apologize. But I really felt like that just by doing that, that I was set free. And there was that one little bit that spirit told me I needed to do, and I was sort of like resistant and like, okay, okay, you know? And then I kind of like tried to act like I forgave, but it wasn't until like I was right in there in front of this person that I was able to really truly see how much goodness was in this person, and that a lot of times we do things as young people and we make mistakes, but you know what, we grow from that. And by me not forgiving, well, I wasn't giving this person the opportunity to grow, to be able to see their own personal, challenges and everything. And I think that all the experiences that this person went through helped them realize how important, you know, things were in their life. And we made a promise to each other that we were just going to see each other once a year, that we were going to like see each other like as often as possible and text each other all the time and call each other and do what we used to do. And I realized how much I needed this person in my life, and it set me free, you know? It gave me a new sense of peace and a greater love for so many different things. And that's why I'm telling you, let it go, you guys. Just let it go. I know it was hard for me because I was like, oh, well, you don't know what this person did, you know? Um, okay, I'm going to read the comments. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Um, I want people to understand that the importance of, as I experience things, and I'm not perfect, um, as I experience things and I grow, maybe it helps you grow. It is, I actually was on my way to work today, and I was praying the whole time. Wow, I'm really getting emotional today. So much going on in the world right now, and I was praying, just tell me what you need from me, tell me what to do. I'm here offering my service to help you help others, do whatever. I'm your servant to help mankind, to help people, you know? And I was like, just please tell me. What do you need me to say? What do you need me, when I fumbled through several different things after I was praying, trying to figure out like what I wanted to talk about. And the idea of forgiveness just kind of popped in my head, and I said, well, I guess that's what I'm going to be doing. And then here I am crying like a stupid baby on live, you know? And I just want you to understand that that we really are missing out a lot, and we're actually depleting our soul, because our soul, what do we really want? We want love, we want acceptance, we want, that's the only thing that we really desire, just like a child and just like an animal. It's our deepest concerns, it's our deepest desire. But we can't experience that until we forgive. And sometimes the people that love you the most are right there waiting to be forgiven. And so I'm just going to leave it at that, you guys. I really do hope that maybe this touched you on some level, and maybe it helps you. So remember, be the light, not the candle. Have a beautiful day.